3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper, a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath.
4 men got out.
There's been a lot of talk online after it was revealed that rapper Lil Durk was connected to an arrest, and people are now discussing what might happen next in his case. Durk, who is a popular rapper from Chicago, has reportedly had a bond proposal of $3.3 million put forward by his lawyers. This bond would be supported by the value of his homes and money he earns from his deal with Sony Music. The news has caused quite a stir on social media, especially with legal experts weighing in on how soon he might be released. One attorney shared their opinion about what could be going on behind the scenes. They mentioned that when authorities really want to catch someone, they'll often make attractive deals to get people to cooperate. In other words, the person they want most might not always be the one who's the most involved in a crime. Instead, they might target someone with less direct involvement, hoping that this person will cooperate and provide valuable information. This could lead to the authorities offering a deal to the person who is considered to be the least responsible. The idea is that this person might be more willing to talk or provide insight that could help authorities catch the bigger players in a case. The attorney also pointed out that this approach is common in law enforcement. You start with the person who is thought to have the least involvement, hoping they will flip or cooperate, and if that doesn't work, you move on to the next target. It's often a step-by-step process to build a case, starting with the less significant players and working up to the bigger ones. This strategy is especially useful when trying to gather enough evidence or information to build a stronger case. What's particularly interesting in this situation is that the charges against Lil Durk aren't just about money or the usual factors you might expect in cases like this. The focus seems to have shifted somewhat, with some people suggesting that the reason for his arrest could also be tied to a personal vendetta or other motives. For example, some online comments
least culpable, and I think that they'll approach him and make a deal with him that'll be the most attractive. And if that guy doesn't make it,
referred to a figure named Charleston White, hinting that there might be some personal animosity involved in the case. This has sparked a lot of debate online, with some saying that Durk should be locked up due to the circumstances surrounding the arrest, while others believe there's more to the story than what's been made public. In the midst of all this, there's been some anger expressed online, with calls for Durk to be placed in jail. Some people feel that the arrest is part of a larger issue involving the community and the music industry, while others are focused on the legal aspects of the case itself. The case has certainly caught attention, not just for the charges but also because of the high-profile nature of the individuals involved. Overall, it seems that the situation is still unfolding, with many unanswered questions about what will happen next for Lil Durk. The public is eagerly awaiting any new updates, especially as more information comes out about the charges and the bond deal. As the legal process continues, it's likely that there will be more speculation about whether Durk will be able to strike a deal or if he will face more serious consequences. This case highlights the complex nature of the legal system, where decisions often involve weighing a range of factors, from the severity of the crime to the willingness of individuals to cooperate with authorities. In the end, it's clear that the case against Lil Durk is more than just about one person or one crime. It touches on issues of influence, cooperation, and the complex relationships between the law, the music industry, and public opinion. Whether or not he's able to secure a deal that results in his release remains to be seen, but it's certainly a case to keep an eye on as it develops. This is a win for the law-abiding fans of hip-hop in America. However, the day after, Lil Durk's legal team presented 3 key arguments to the judge in hopes of getting him released from custody. First, they argued that Lil Durk had an alibi based on his song lyrics. The prosecution had claimed that some of his lyrics were a boast about a death, but Durk's team countered by pointing out that the song in question, Fantastic Wayne and Jackie Boy, had been recorded months before the event occurred. They even provided evidence in the form of a court document showing the project file of the song, which proved it was created 7 months before the tragedy was reported in the media. This argument was meant to prove that Durk couldn't have been bragging about something that hadn't happened yet. The timeline of the song's creation was a key part of his defense. His lawyer emphasized that the prosecution was wrong in connecting the lyrics to a specific event that had already taken place, suggesting—
Hey, what's wrong with giving my friend the address? Oh, this is my boy. He lost his boy. Who did it could be around. 9 times out of 10.
Instead, that the song was part of a much earlier creative process, far removed from the tragedy. In addition to this, Durk's lawyer pointed to other lyrics as well. The defense team explained that these lyrics were being misinterpreted by the prosecution. According to them, the lyrics weren't a confession or a direct reference to any crime, but were instead part of the broader artistic expression typical in rap music. The defense also said that these lyrics should not be used as evidence of criminal activity or intent, as they are often poetic exaggerations and fictional representations of a rapper's life or experiences, rather than factual statements of involvement in any crime. Another argument made by Durk's team revolved around a public exchange that was linked to the situation. It came to light that Lil Durk's producer had publicly commented about Quando Rondo, another figure in the rap world, claiming that Durk had once asked him for information about Rondo's whereabouts. However, the defense claimed that the information was being misused. Durk's representatives mentioned how, in an earlier conversation, Rondo's location was brought up but not in any way that directly connected to the crime in question. The producer also reportedly clarified that if Durk had asked, he would have been happy to share the location, as it was a matter of casual conversation. The defense argued that there was nothing wrong with sharing this information in a casual setting. It was just an innocent conversation between two people, and at no point did Durk request anything illegal or anything that would implicate him in a criminal act. The lawyer's point was that there was no intention behind the exchange, and it was just part of the everyday chatter common in the rap industry. In a surprising twist, the court then reviewed more than 3,000 gigs of video recordings and 20,000 pages of reports. These materials were being processed as part of the larger case. Durk's team used this massive information to demonstrate the complexity of the situation and how, among all the evidence, these specific lyrics were being overly focused on without sufficient context. They argued that the real meaning behind the lyrics had been misinterpreted and that the prosecution was using them as a convenient way to link Durk to the crime without real proof of his involvement. As the court proceedings continued, the defense team made it clear that they were focused on showing how the lyrics and public interactions had been taken out of context. They also emphasized how much of the evidence being presented was not relevant to the case at hand. This was especially important because the prosecution had placed so much weight on the song lyrics, claiming they were linked to a specific crime. However, Durk's legal team maintained that there was no clear connection between the song's content and any illegal activities. The defense also pointed out that
2021, his brother dies. 2022, the niggas who his brother, they get clapped. The two Vaughn.
Given the entertainment industry's history, it's common for rappers to include exaggerated or fictional content in their music. Just because Durk's lyrics mention certain events, it didn't mean that he was involved in those events in real life. The lines between storytelling and reality in hip-hop music are often blurred, and the defense argued that it was unfair to judge Durk based solely on his artistic expression. In the end, Durk's lawyers were hopeful that the judge would consider these points and understand that the case wasn't as straightforward as the prosecution had made it out to be. They had presented the timeline of the song's creation, shown the context of the lyrics, and argued that the focus on the lyrics was misdirected. All of this, they hoped, would be enough for the judge to grant Durk his release from custody. This case was an example of the intersection of law, art, and public opinion. Lil Durk's team worked hard to prove that the legal system should not jump to conclusions based on artistic expression, especially when it comes to lyrics in rap music. They aimed to show that rap lyrics, often filled with exaggerated tales and metaphors, shouldn't be used as evidence of criminal behavior without concrete proof of actual involvement in illegal acts. As the legal battle continued, it became clear that both sides were preparing for a long and complex case. The focus on the rap lyrics was only one part of a much bigger legal discussion about how the justice system handles artistic works and whether such works should be scrutinized or seen as protected free expression. Durk's team hoped that by pointing out the flaws in the prosecution's arguments, they could secure his freedom while challenging the way the legal system views hip-hop culture. In the end, this case was about more than just one rapper. It raised important questions about how the law should treat music and other forms of art, and whether it's fair to use someone's lyrics as evidence of a crime. For now, Lil Durk's team was focused on winning this legal battle, but the wider implications of the case would likely continue to spark debate within the legal and music communities for a long time. When Lil Durk snitched his own CDS, he outlined a roadmap for DJ academics. In 2021, his brother passes away, and in 2022, everyone applauds him. At least one of their cousins, Van, is applauded in 2023 when he releases. Would then go over the second reason for his release, which was that it seems like Lil Durk planned to get revenge before he eventually recovered. According to the sources, Lil Durk's quick transfer to prison was brought on by problems in his cell block. As a well-known rapper, he was singled out for commissary and money, alerting the judge that they find Quando Rondo's hitting of Durk as retaliation for Quando Rondo's actions, as well as Lil Durk's life behind bars. Even though Many people believe it is a coincidence that Tim's two different interviews were released on the same day and both expressed the same message. Others believe the government exploited it as a pretext to avoid going after Lil Tim and Quando Rondo in their quest for justice. Lil Tim, King Von's assailant, said that the whole incident might have been avoided. "I was in a situation where I was trying to stay calm, and I thought to myself, I'm a humble person, so I don't know how to respond disrespectfully to what his mother said. I could easily jump into the drama, try to get attention, or clout chase, but I didn't want to do that. Despite feeling hurt by the situation, I knew it wasn't worth responding negatively. However, I could tell that it wasn't going to go the way I thought it would. It seemed like everything could have been handled better, but it just wasn't." Rondo, too, said that he wished the situation had been handled differently.
If Brian did that stupid shit last night, he still would have been alive. That's how I was. But I was like, shit, I ain't no the type person I am. Like, I'm a.
He expressed the same frustration, hoping that things could have gone in a more peaceful direction. Lil Durk, on the other hand, has a family. He's a man with many responsibilities. He's not the kind of person who would want to throw everything away over petty drama. He has children and a mother who love him unconditionally. But somehow, all of that seemed to get lost in the chaos. What people often forget is that these kinds of situations could have been dealt with in a more thoughtful way. All the drama that's been stirred up, this constant back and forth, could have been avoided. It's frustrating to think about how a song, or maybe even a $4 million deal, could have been worked out as a solution to calm things down. But instead, everything turned into a mess, and now we're left talking about it in circles. Then, there's the issue of Lil Durk's life now. Due to his situation and his transfer to a new neighborhood with bad living conditions, things have become even more difficult for him. It's similar to the struggles faced by other prisoners like YMW Melly. Durk now finds himself in a tough spot, stuck in an environment that only makes things worse for him. The conditions he's dealing with are challenging, and life in prison has gotten harder because of everything he's involved in. He's dealing with the fallout of his actions, but it's also clear that life behind bars has become unbearable. Charleston White, someone who often speaks his mind about issues in the prison system, said something that caused a lot of reactions. He argued that prisoners like Durk, especially those involved in taking a life, don't deserve to live comfortably. According to White, once you take someone's life, you lose the right to complain about your own treatment. His opinion is that Durk should not expect sympathy or fair treatment in prison, given the seriousness of the charges against him. He's a strong believer in the idea that people who commit serious crimes should face the harsh realities of life behind bars. On the other hand, the prosecutors have been working hard to build a case against Durk. They've made their evidence and investigation public, showing just how much they believe in their case. According to the feds, Durk may have paid to have two people dealt with. One of these people is OTF Jam's baby mom, who tragically died after Durk found out that OTF Jam had been cooperating with law enforcement. The feds think that this information is crucial.
They 100% love them. And at the end of the day, bro, all this bull that we talking about is stupid. That could have been handled a totally different way. It could have been handled to the
locking Durk up for not just one crime, but three. They believe that OTF Jam's actions were part of a bigger picture that ties Durk to several serious offenses. There's another critical moment that the feds have used to strengthen their case. Apparently, when Durk found out that OTF Jam was wearing a wire, he was seen reacting to the news. The authorities believe that this is significant, as it shows that Durk may have been aware that Jam was working with law enforcement. This could be a major piece of evidence, as it suggests that Durk was involved in something much larger than just a few isolated incidents. The feds are connecting these dots to try to show that Durk, whether or not he is guilty of all the charges brought against him, remains to be seen, but it's clear that the situation is much more complicated than it might have appeared at first. At the end of the day, though, there's a larger point to be made. It's not just about Durk or his music. This case highlights the complex nature of fame, power, and responsibility. When you're in the spotlight, everything you do is under a magnifying glass, and the consequences of your actions can be far-reaching. For Durk, the choices he made, whether in his personal life or in his career, have led him to a point where everything he has built is at risk. The coming weeks and months will likely reveal more about what happened and whether or not Durk will face the full extent of the law. In the end, this whole situation shows how quickly things can spiral out of control. One mistake, one wrong move, and suddenly you find yourself caught up in something much bigger than you ever imagined. For Lil Durk, it's not just about facing the music in the courtroom. It's about dealing with the fallout from his entire life, both personally and professionally. Whether he can turn things around or if he's headed for a much harder path remains uncertain, but it's clear that his life has become far more complicated than it ever should have been. It was revealed that the prosecution also investigated further fatalities linked to Lil Durk's involvement in Stefan Max's killing in Chicago. Although there isn't a formal indictment against him yet, he is included in disclosed documents, and the feds think he was singled out as payback for dying on January 27, 2022. The court document contained this Instagram story of Lil Durk laughing, as well as another for D-Tang that was posted 30 minutes after Stefan Max's passing. What people said was SLSL, and even worse, it was time for the prosecution to provide defense evidence against Lil Durk while they were compiling a timeline for the Instagram, which is rumored to have started the same day. It started with a video clip of Brick Baby saying in public that it is impossible to say that Lil Durk never slid for King Von again because they got Lil Tim after Lil Durk was arrested. Brick Baby was on live stream and would reply to his earlier interview, giving the impression that he might have alerted the federal government to Lil Durk's identity. The feds found the first piece of evidence after realizing they needed to look into it, but they just claim you can't throughout the whole event. Lil Durk, an old video of King Von shopping with two of the suspects that led to Lil Tim, showed a link to OTF. Their boss, "You're good, my boy's good," he said, because he just
I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you
stepped in here, man, because he probably wanted to exact the money. Revenge on King Von, which resulted in claims that OTF members were spying on Lick. As a result, OTF Fesso calmed everyone down. For real, there will be false accusations, and you won't even know what's going on for real. You're all trying to play Inspect the Gadget, and you're all being weird, because that's what I'll be talking about, man. First, you're the jams rumors out there, and now you're talking about funny snitch, gang, a snitch on what's really happening with my kids. You guys are just fleeing, which is why I don't do anything that has to do with anything criminal, because you guys are trying to get them as I know you're, but if you need anything, you know I got you, dude. Durk would later tell everyone via a jail phone that he was refusing to go into protective custody and was holding strong in a federal prison. Don't worry, bro. We haven't moved all of the money except for the first time, when it seemed like everything was his. I feel like I can't get back where you are, what you have, what PY computer he likes. You know you have sent me upstairs, whatever it is I have. Bradford Cohen, the lawyer for Kodak Black, said, I'm hesitant to say they have a slam dunk case on Lurai, but Durk is doing okay and a lawyer would have anticipated when he would be freed from jail. I believe they still have a long way to go in proving the conspiracy against him, Durk Banks. As of right now, I've seen one text that says, don't have them associate my name with any kind of flights that they are taking. That's not a good text. But is it the only one? That doesn't prove anything on its own. It's circumstantial. But as I mentioned, we'll have to wait and see what other evidence they have, such as videotapes, a snitch, or something else. I'm reluctant to claim that they have a slam dunk case on Durk Banks because I've heard audio recordings of him saying something that I believe is quite different from what he said. Just make sure you don't link my name with these folks.